Everyone. Welcome to day one of MMVC 24. This is a 3-day online conference, completely free for educators and anyone who wants to learn with us. The presenter right now is coming to us from Sweden, and that's Professor Ebba Ossiannilsson. She's a consultant, an expert, an influencer, and quality assessor in the field of open, online, and flexible learning, including open educational resources and massive online courses. She's an advocate and promoter of open and online learning in the context of SDG 4 and the future of learning in the age of AI. She's a member of the board of ICDE and previously worked for Eden, DLE. She's also the chair of ICDE, OER Advocacy Committee. She works as an international quality reviewer, and she has done research on quality standards for blended learning in 2017. She has received several awards and championships, among others, as Eden Fellow, Eden Council of Fellows, T4 Education. What is T4 Education? I'm not sure. Technology, Open Education, Europa Fellow, Spark Champion, Intercomp Champion. She works for UNESCO, the OECD, the European Commission, the Knowledge Equity Network, the European Network of Innovation for Inclusion, the Global Building Network, and the Children's Future Foundation Board, Ukraine. She has more than 20 years of experience in her field. She's a member of the editorial board of several scientific journals and regularly participates as a speaker at conferences such as MMVC. I think she's been here since we started in 2011, maybe later on 2012. I'm not sure. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you, Ebba, for being here once again.
Thank you so much, Nella Deutsch, for the kind introduction, but most of all for the kind invitation and for organizing those MMVC conferences each year. It's a really amazing community, as you said also in the introduction. It has become a learning space for us. Some newcomers, some have been here for a long time. I think my video was closed for a while. So it's a great pleasure to be here together with you. And my topic will be on ethical leadership and the human resources role in this for sustainability in the openness and digital transformation and AI area. I think this follows up quite nicely with the last presentation. I will take a more broader perspective. I have done some research recently on just leadership and AI, and I will maybe have maybe I will have more questions to you than I have answers, because it is really a complex world we are entering in, or we are not just entering, we are right in the middle of it, because AI has existed for quite a long time, back in the 80s or something. So it depends how we count. Some count it as the 22nd of November 22, but well, it depends. We'll see how it goes. But I would like to take a broader perspective. And I think leadership is really, really crucial in the area of this transformation. And by saying that, I mean leadership, not just senior leaders and senior,
Thank you.
More or less. So first of all, I will argue that we have to ask ourselves at least two perspectives. You can't go to any conference nowadays. You can't hardly read any kind of paper or journal or book or whatever, which is not talking about AI. But I think there are two perspectives. First, there is the perspective of what can AI do for us? And that is explored a lot. And the second question, and maybe the most important, is what do we want AI to do for us? And sometimes maybe the answers are similar, but there are also different kind of perspectives. And again, talking about AI, it is a broad perspective. It's not about just about, you know, the ChatGPT and this kind of things and what that can do, but I'm talking about AI as such. I think those are two questions are important. And some more detailed questions might be, how can leaders uphold ethical standards and promote transparency in the age of AI and increasing openness? I think you were kindly enough saying, Nelly, that I used to talk about open education and why open education matters. So I'm also taking that perspective. Second, what challenges and opportunities arise from the convergence of HR, sustainability initiatives, leadership paradigms, openness, AI, and the digital transformation? And how can leaders align the strategies with human, environmental, ethical, and social goals to promote sustainable practices and educational organizations? And as you can see from those two last slides, I have put people and people in the center because everything is about people, for people, and by people. Are you still okay with the voice? Yes? So, the questions, the two perspectives I raised from the beginning: what can AI do, and what do we want AI
sorry,
to do?
Ebba, we lost your screen sharing.
You can't see it?
No, not right. No, no more.
This
It
is
was
really
there, but your voice is fine. Yeah, it disappeared. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes people have problems with Microsoft.
Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, now I see it. Now it's back.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will argue that there are at least 3 dimensions, and even some more which are maybe unknown. But I have raised 3 dimensions, and that is about, of course, for students and by students, for staff and academics and by staff and academics, and management and admin. And then we, of course, have the X card and also several maybe unknown so far. So there are many dimensions, and sometimes I have the feeling that we start to talk maybe sometimes about AI in general and all these kind of things, but then we come down to cheating and plagiarism and ChatGPT and different kind of apps, etc. For me, it is much broader. And I think if we really realize that, there are even a lot, for example, for management and admin, where AI can play a huge role, and that can free up time from the staff and from the people involved in education. And I think we have to take that perspective, because with AI, a lot of things can be scaled up, and it can also be more humanized, I will say, because it will free up time for the staff and for the teachers, being together with the students. Some more theoretical foundations, which I always used to talk about when I talk about education. The first one is about the role of UNESCO initiatives, and we know there are several. For example, the Agenda 2030, the UNESCO Educational Summit in 2021, the Open Education Resources recommendation from 2019. There is a special initiative on AI as well, coming up from last year. So there is a lot of recommendations, a lot of research made by UNESCO throughout the globe about shaping the education for all, not leaving anyone behind, and for sustainability. Because the way we have organized our education today is not sustainable, and it's not affordable, and it's maybe sometimes not even feasible, because in case you would like to educate each and every one for higher education, you need to establish a university a day, and we can't afford it, we don't want it. And the goal is about education for all, and the education system today is too excluded. So just more or less well-educated people who can continue to be educated, and the rest we just leave behind. And I'm sure when changing the educational landscape, not at least through AI and the digital transformation, we can achieve education for all, not leaving anyone behind. Again, about SDG 4 from the Agenda 2030, about the sustainability development goals. We all know that SDG 4 was a special goal dedicated for education, as education have an influence, an impact, or can lead to achieve all the other 16 goals. So it is important when we talk also about AI in the digital transformation in the area of openness and AI, to include all the SDGs on what AI can do, or what we want AI to do for that. Not at least for SDG 4, about equity, inclusiveness, and accessibility, and of course the UNESCO initiative about the social contract for education. I'm not sure if all of you know about the social contract for education, but it was an initiative started already in 2019, and that was, before that, there was a research for over 2 years globally with all stakeholders, and in 2021, they changed it to the new social contract for education, because now it is more stated, what is education about, who is it for, how can we scale it up to really shape the future for education, not leaving anyone behind, and for sustainability. And then, of course, as we all know, we have the aftermath of the COVID-19, where we learned a lot of lessons. Not at least how time and space have been changing due to internet and due to digital transformation. But we also have to remember that what was happening in most of the world was what we used to call remote distance urgency education, not quality distance education. And that is a huge difference. But we also learned what quality really means when it comes to distance and digital education. So I really hope that we can learn from those lessons. And we also have learned that working places nowadays, I mean, it doesn't really matter where you live or where you work, because of course you can also do a lot of work from other places. As I said, time and space have got new perspectives. And in many countries, at least half of the population can't even think about going to a working place 5 days a week from 9 to 5. So that also do something with our daily life and private life. Here again about the UNESCO foundations, they have stated 4 at least. And the first one is about human rights and human dignity. It's about respect, protection, promotion of human rights and fundamental freedom and human dignity. And we know that already back in 1948, education was stated as a human right for everyone. And as I said, the educational landscape is not organized like that, although it was already stated back in 1948, and today we are writing 2024. Second, living in peaceful, just and interconnected societies. And that means very much about inclusiveness, taking a responsibility for everyone and to include everyone. It's about democracy and to let everyone have a say and to listen to all kinds of voices. And that goes also to number 3, about ensuring diversity and inclusiveness. And this new social contract, which I mentioned, really stress about diversity and inclusiveness. Because quite often when we talk about education, when we talk about different kind of things, not all voices are really heard. Not even the students' voices are heard. But it really matters whose voices do we listen to and whose voices matters in decision making, in policies. And then on the 4th one, we had about environment and ecosystem flourishing. It is also said that AI and digital transformation is a move to digital, to a green economy and to green deals, and that's also the reason why we need to have green education. And online education, open education, digital education is a move to green education and to save the environment and ecosystem for the humans and for the planet. I mentioned that UNESCO has developed a recommendation for the ethics of AI, and those are the 10 core principles they have come up with. The first one is about proportionality and do no harm, about safety and security, right to privacy and data protection, multi-stakeholder and adaptive governance and collaboration, responsibility and accountability, transparency and explainability, human oversight and determination, sustainability, awareness and literacy, fairness and non-discrimination. Those are the core principles, and as you can see by them, they really involve and address each and every stakeholders. Students in the educational sector, students, teachers, staff, admin, managers. And this is not just a statement in policies and missions, it is also statement which we have to have within us in our daily performance when we are dealing with education and in the area of AI. So this is each and everyone's responsibility. They also have come up with 11 key areas for policy action. This recommendation was ordered back in 2021. As you can see, there are 11 key areas. The first one is about ethical impact assessment. Second, ethical governance and stewardship. 3, data policy. 4, development and international cooperation. Environment and ecosystems, gender, culture, education and research is a special area. Communication and information, economy and labor, health and social well-being. All those key areas for policy actions when it comes to AI goes back, as you can see, to many of the other recommendations that UNESCO has developed. For example, the Educational Summit, for example, Agenda 2030, for example, the one on open education, for example, the one on environment and ecosystems, and you see many of the key concepts about gender, about diversity, about communication, about well-being are mentioned here, and about communication and information, of course. I will take the opportunity to show this pedagogy wheel developed by Alan Carrington. Maybe you have seen it before as not just but as the pedagogy wheel. He has recently adapted it to AI, as you can see, and actually it was out just today. So that was the reason I wanted to include it. And as you can see in those circles, first of all, it is based on the SUM model about do we really transform education and learning with digital transformation, or is this just by substitute something? So that goes back to Putanantura's model about SAMR, SAMR. It also goes back to, as you can see, about puzzle of motivation, that theory, and it also goes back to different kind of strategies and also different kind of tools or different kind of tasks you can perform in the education. So this is just a glimpse what you want your students to achieve. I mean, it is about affordances, what we really want your students to achieve, and that goes also back to the UNESCO social contract. Education is not just to become something professional or whatever, but it's also to become an active global citizen. And with that, you need to have a lot of so-called tacit knowledge as well about problem solving, about communication, about change developer, about entrepreneurship, etc. By the way, this pedagogy wheel is translated into some 30 different languages, so maybe you can find it in your language if you look for it. I have myself translated it into Swedish. And you can see what kind of activities you can suggest or choose to achieve what you would like to achieve according to the goals for your students and the goals for their education. So what are really the challenges? It is about, for me, I think it is very, very important. There's a lot of challenges with the UN UNESCO Agenda 2030, and we are already in 2024. And it is said by UNESCO themselves that we haven't actually achieved half of the goals which were set up, and it's just 6 more years to go. It is urgent. It is really urgent. And that is why I think leadership is so important, because leaders at all levels, they shape the way where to go, and also to allocate resources, money, capacity building for people. And that is really, really important. And the challenges is about equity, inclusiveness, and accessibility. And that is, of course, again, aligned to the UNESCO Agenda SDG 4. And we are far away for that. Education is still, when we're talking about AI, sometimes we are talking about how to implement AI, or maybe not implement it in the education we have today. And today's education is obsolete. It is not what we maybe don't really need. We need to do something else to save the planet and to do the best for the people. And open education is one solution for that, to achieve equity, inclusiveness, and accessible education for all. There are also large challenges with the approach with humanity, empathy, and peace. And as you may recall, the 4 areas from UNESCO, which I started to talk about, really emphasize humanity, empathy, and peace. Then we have the whole lifelong learning agenda. The educational landscape is not equipped to enroll lifelong learners. They are organized and structured for bachelor, master, and PhD students. Already an exclusive group of people. So what is really education about? Then we have, of course, the 4th Industrial Revolution. That is not something new. It was out already in 2016, which said that with the digital transformation, it changed the way we act, the way we learn, the way we work, the way we perform, the way we communicate, the way we make connections, relationships, etc. And then there are huge challenges to integrate sustainable practices into all aspects of the human resource areas, and for human resources. And I will say that human resource centers, or what you have at your schools or education, really have to be a player in this area, because human resources are the most valuable and important resource an organization have. And then, of course, we have the impact of COVID-19, which has already been mentioned. So when asking ChatGPT about leadership and basic principles of ethical leadership, I got this answer. There are 4 main concerns. The first one is about integrity, adhering to moral and ethical principles, and ensuring consistency between words and action. Now we need to not just talk the talk, we need to walk the talk, as I used to say. It is about fairness, about treating all stakeholders equally and making decisions impartially. To be, again, about what I said before, about diversity and whose voices are heard, and who do we invite for the conversations? Which kind of people, and the stakeholders do we invite in the room to the table? If we really think about that, I think sometimes we have to actually, unfortunately, blame ourselves. It's about accountability, taking responsibility for one's actions and decisions, and being accountable to stakeholders. And that again means that each of us are leaders. Each of us have to embrace those principles which I have been talking about earlier on. We can't blame someone else. We can't blame the vice chancellor, the rector, the principal. We can't blame other actors. In case we should blame someone, we should blame ourselves if we don't take accountability and responsibility for this. And it is very much about transparency, being open about decisions, actions, and the reasons behind them. So for me, talking about ethical leadership, it is very much about aligning strategies with the goals and everything there in between to allocate relevant resources. And resources can be, as we know, in funding, money, time, but most of all about people, because people are the most valuable resources. And we need to align strategies with human, environmental, ethical, and social goals. So education has, as I mentioned before, as we all know, even a social goal to be an active and proactive and responsible society. So there are need for importance of ethical standards and transparency in the age of AI. I see a lot of opportunities for this transformation. If leaders, which are all of us, take those opportunities and take those developments seriously. And I will also argue that the role of technology and AI can enhance educational practices and inclusivity. So the conclusion can be that the transformative potential of ethical leadership, transparency, and AI integration can shape an inclusive, equitable, and sustainable future for both education and for business and for society. And by embracing ethical principles to promote transparency, AI technology can actually do that for us. And maybe that's also what we want it to do. And leaders can, by that, overcome challenges to drive sustainability initiatives and foster a culture of openness and innovation in the educational sector and beyond. So the main message is maybe to cultivate a culture of ethical, sustainable leadership with empathy in the era of AI and openness. So in the end, we call for actions. First of all, to reflect on our own leadership practices and consider how we can integrate those principles into our daily work. But also, which is very, very important, the narratives we tell really matters. If we on an ongoing talk about the narratives about AI, that it is bad, or it is doesn't do what we want, students can cheat, students can do that and that and that, and students will stop to communicate, students will stop to relate to each other, blah, blah, blah. I mean, those narratives will go on and on forever. But if we change the narratives, what AI really can do for us and what we want it to do, it can maybe even free up time for us to really communicate and to collaborate more on the so-called human side and be together with each other, which is with empathy and with human responsibility and with ethics. So I would like to argue that we have to change the narratives. And finally, be the leader you want to have. Those are some of my references. Thank you so much. And I will be more than happy to debate and discuss this with you.
Thank you. You can turn on your video now. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ebba. That was amazing as always. And I think that be the leader that you want. Can you tell that to statesmen and politicians?
Yes, it is necessary nowadays.
No, yes, of course. But what will they say? You know, I mean, you can say it, but, you know, I don't even know if they think about leaders. I mean, they and you're talking about the narratives. I think that's a lovely, I mean, that's something that we can all, you know, we can't expect our, you know, heads of state and leaders to do it, but we can do it.
Yeah, so I really think
from the
it is
bottom
time
up
to
instead
start
of
to change the
top
narratives,
down.
because otherwise, I mean, we will go on in this some kind of negative wheel. But if we change it, it can have an impact.
Yeah, I believe that too. That's why I think it's a bottom up rather than a top down. That if we at the bottom change, and I think that's where education and open educational resources come in, because that's how we spread, you know, the information. And if we make it available to everyone, then, you know, it won't be about money and you'll be able to include everybody. It's not going to be a question of money. I'd like to hear others as well. So I will, I'll give everyone a chance to unmute themselves. Let me do that now so we can hear from you. So please unmute yourself. I can also add, you can start your videos if you like, but you have to realize that this is being streamed publicly. So if you don't want to show your face, but I think voices are fine, right? Nobody can really know we don't have that kind of recognition. But I don't know, with AI, it could work, you know, if we, if our voices are out there and if it picks up all this information and it goes out there, then our voices will also be picked up, and you know, AI tools will be able to detect, and there won't be any kind of privacy.
Of course, as always with all new things, I mean, critical thinking is basic. I mean, sometimes you don't even have to mention it, but of course we have to mention it all the time, and I think I did as well, because that is important. But we can actually, yeah, as I said, include more people. We can, I mean, with for example, translations and with summaries and making things available for maybe disabled people. It can really save us a lot as well, and a larger, and to a larger extent include people.
You know, but I think that, you know, the question of technology has always been, you know, either you use it well critically and you think about all kinds of aspects, or you misuse it. I mean, that's always been the thing. And I think that with AI tools as well, and you know, humanoids, I don't know what's ahead out there.
That's why we have to change the narratives we tell.
Yeah, maybe we are predicting things.
Ourselves who are in this field always tell those well, negative or negative stories, so to say.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to work, yet we're still there. We're still using those tactics.
Yeah.
We're criticizing instead of trying to see what's there. And sometimes you're right. I mean, according to Barbara Fredrickson and her research on, positive thinking and how it actually has a ripple effect and it changes.
Yes, it is.
So I totally agree with that, which is one of the reasons why I think that Barbara's research, Fredrickson's research, is out there. And I think educators, I don't know if anyone here had to study her research, but I think in most countries, it's part of the curriculum for teachers, future teachers to take those courses. The question is whether they take it seriously or not.
And I see also Mohammed here is saying that, I mean, really, many of those new things is very much about mindset and approaches to it. I mean, it was even when cars, for example, when the horses and wagons was changed by cars, people were so critical and they really hated it, and they really, oh, we have always had those horses and wagons, and that would be fine. But we need to, it is very much about mindset and approaches.
What about books? Remember when books came out as well?
Exactly. Yes, change is hard, and I used to say that as well. Everyone would like to have a change, but no one would like to change themselves. Because
yeah, the change begins.
Then you have to say yes to something and no to something you already maybe have lived for years. But if you would like to change, you have to say yes to something, which maybe sometimes it's a bit unsure or not well known or whatever, but you also have to say no to something else.
Do you? I'm a believer in being able to hold on to everything and be critical. In other words, it's not like, I'll keep this, I'll throw that away. No, you can keep everything.
Yes,
and just try to manage it. How about keeping everything? Being critical and also being positive at the same time. In other words, having an open mind. So it's not just one or the other, but having it all. Nicole, you wanted to say something? Glad to see you.
Hi, nice to see you. Yeah, it reminded me of this this anecdote. Gosh, this was back in the late 90s, just when like the technology was really taking force, and I was put on this to head this instructional technology committee in my department. And I came across a professor who was insisting that, well, it was poorly done. We all the professors had to go using Blackboard, and so I was there to train them to use this new technology. And this one professor was like, "Well, chalk is technology. Why can't I just use chalk?" And it's just when you were talking about change and how change is hard, and I was like, yes, there is, I was like, I didn't tell you can't use chalk, but I'm giving you an additional. So we need to be critical, that we shouldn't just throw out, like what you're saying, horses and wagons we still need those. They serve purposes, but when change is happening, it's changing the mindset to make it a growth mindset, and understanding that it's not abandoning these other tools that are also useful.
It is a broader and more varied palette, as you need to have when you're painting, for example. I mean, the more color you have, the more you can do it. So that's why I also like Diana Lorlard's, for example, explanations and concepts about affordances. What you really would like to achieve, and what are the affordances. And that's
But
why
I
I also
agree.
like this pedagogy wheel by Alan Carrington, because he is really talking about that. What do you like to achieve? For example, if you this and the whole concept of this pedagogy wheel, for example, it goes back to Maslow's no, not Maslow's, but about
You mean
pardon?
craftsmanship?
No, do you like to that your students to remember things, or do you like them to create things? Or so I mean, there are tools for remembering, there are tools for creativity. So what would you like to achieve?
Yeah, Noreen says that your first two questions say it all. So much is and will be available with research going on, but its use. I'm not sure what that is. Is it ethically and sensibly used? I think that's what Noreen's trying to say there.
Yeah.
Noreen, you can open up if you like and join us with your webcam, or anyone else. Feel free to add your thoughts here.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Dr. Ebba. Thank you so much. It was a very, very enlightening presentation and gives us another perspective to look at things. And like I said, I think your first two questions are really, really pertinent. There has always been, historically, there's always been so much more available when the wheel was invented, so forth, so on and so forth. And like you said, so many other inventions that we can look at, and how human race has developed over time with more of resources, whatever they be. And now we are talking of technology. So we cannot stop the ongoing um, development, so to speak. But yes, how, when, and to what extent should we use it are the more ethical questions to be considered. And yes, thank you very much for raising these questions, and very pertinent ones. Thank you.
That is also, I mean, it is really a question of leadership, because sometimes we put a lot of burden on the teachers and the staff and the academics, and they have to do everything they're doing right now, but they also have to do, I mean, all those kind of new things, and they have to figure out themselves how to deal with it. So there is really a question of leadership, how you allocate time, space, and funding for this development. If you really invest in it, not just invest in the tools as such, but also to invest in people.
Yeah, very sure, Dr. Abel, like you said, and leaders in the educational landscape, like you said, other teachers, and somebody's just written this comment also, that teachers are the people who construct, and we are also part of the community, and we are the teachers. And I think which means that more focused and more a kind of teacher training which is more focused to today's issues should be raised now. We should go over the typical teacher preparation used to be some time ago, and I think these are the things which are more pertinent to talk about and all. Like you said, like somebody earlier in the earlier presentation, we mentioned about Kahoot and others. Well, the ethical considerations, I agree, should be there, but nevertheless, see how easy it has become now to create the quizzes and to reach out to the students, and the data analysis and all that. So it is available to the students at the one click, like in the Moodle, for example, the LMS, and how it helps not only the teachers but the learners also to understand the whole context of communication in the educational landscape. So that is true. They are very, very positive improvements in the teaching and learning scenario. But yes, side by side, that the critical questions of what, when, how, and how much, I think these should be raised oftentimes and be part of the
Yes.
teachers' training.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, go
Hello.
ahead. Hi.
Yeah, reflecting upon everything, I think this is a time for change with the proliferation of AI and its unprecedented development and use everywhere. We need to change our methods of teaching. We need to cultivate a growth mindset among our students. We need to cultivate resilience. We need to understand our clients,
Yeah,
our
exactly.
students. How do their brains process this tsunami of information surrounding us every minute, not every day? Now, everything at their fingertips. With a quick click, they can get everything. So, what am I gonna do as an educator or as a teacher? I need to adapt. I need to change in order to swim with the tide. At the same time, I need to, as you said, I need to practice critical thinking at each and every stage to sort out everything we receive, because not everything we get from ChatGPT or AI is fully accurate. We need, our role is to double check everything in order to be able to serve our students in the best way. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
thank you
you
so
for
much.
that.
Yes. And as I said, I think it is also important to go maybe a bit beyond, because we are, I mean, of course, we shall think about our students here and now, right now. That is important. But we also need to take this larger responsibility for the society, for the global society, education for all, not leaving anyone behind. How can we include all those people who are outside the educational system? And with digital transformation and with the AI, we maybe can come a bit more close to that, to involve more people, to scale up education.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good points. Thank you, both of you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ebba, for this session.
Thank you so much,
And
everyone. And thank you for your questions and the contributions. And
thank
thank you,
you.
Ebba and Ali again.